welcome to So We're Watching That Right, the podcast where two lesbians bully each other for having the same taste in anime. I'm Becky, scientifically certified best girl.
And I'm Val, everyone's favourite harem protagonist.
We begin this week with a harrowing tale of teenage angst, loneliness, and self-loathing. No, it's not Journal with Witch this time. It's There's No Freaking Way I'll Be Your Lover unless... ... tilde, next shine, tilde.
Yeah, it's the specials that comprise Volume 4 of the light novel.
Yes. It's basically an extra 5 episodes. Were they released as an OVA or were they released cinematic?
They were released in theaters, and then they came out as 5 episodes later on.
Mm-hmm. So, at the end of the season of anime of this show, Reneko had been confessed to by both Mai and Ajisai, and this starts with her in this terrible depressive slump over having to choose between them, and sailed into some stormy waters. But, we watched this for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we sure did.
You know, it was a funny idea to put the Funny Yuri show on our schedule for Valentine's Day.
I knew it was going to be stressful. You didn't. You were the one who got blindsided the hardest. I forgot that this bit was so severe right at the start, but...
Yeah, I made you cry on Valentine's Day.
Yep.
We will get to that.
I will give you this joke segue for this.
We have to start with this because of what happened. But before we talk about what happened, we do have to stress that this is ridiculous. This show is still every bit as hyperbolically silly as before.
As demonstrated by the rest of the episodes.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of drama, but there's a lot of funny bullshit going on.
Yes.
Between all the anxiety and angst.
Yeah, so this is the Kaho arc. Kaho is the, kind of Genki type cat-coded girl. I mean, they're all cat-coded to one degree or another in this, but, she's the really cat-coded one. And Reneko's in this depressive slump, and her sister barges into her room because sister's friends want photos of Reneko. So Haruna barges in to get them, and disturbs some of Reneko's photos, and Reneko sees a photo of herself at cram school with a girl that she eventually realises is Kaho. And when she shows this photo to Kaho, Kaho reaches for mankind's oldest weapon, as she puts it.
A rock!
A rock to brain Reneko to keep her secret of having been a shy girl in cram school and in middle school.
Yep.
Because she is now the hyper outgoing Gyaru type, except that she isn't. She's still the shy girl, and as soon as she's not wearing contacts, she reverts. This causes some strife between them, and then Kaho finagles that into getting Reneko to join in with her doing a cosplay shoot, because it turns out Reneko is a pretty successful cosplayer. Not top tier, but high enough profile for it to be a big thing.
You mean Kaho, not Reneko, which you did just say.
Names! Kaho is an established cosplayer. She is dragging Reneko into this. She's paying her for it because she needs someone to pair with her in a shoot. Reneko did get stressed and take her PS5 to bed with her and wake up in the morning to find she'd punted it out of bed and broken it.
Yep.
Which, some of us don't get the luxury of that kind of foolishness. My PS5 just blew its power supply out of the blue, and I still haven't got it fixed. Anyway, Reneko can't find the confidence to be a good cosplayer, so Kaho uses the power of ASMR hypnosis to brainwash confidence into Reneko.
Yep.
And from how you described that happening in the books, I think in the books there's a little bit more scaffolding around it.
Not much.
In this, it's just a 2-minute sequence of Reneko listening to a bunch of voice messages from Kaho telling her she's beautiful and cool and stuff.
Most of the stuff in the books is Kaho will actually just say, or Reneko will think about specific scenarios that the ASMR has gone through. Because they are all ASMR sessions.
Yeah.
But she's been listening to them on loop while she sleeps.
Yes. And it works until it doesn't.
Yeah.
We get the clearest glimpse yet of the fact that Reneko's problem is not actually with the idea of dating girls. It's with the fact that every girl who has tried to date her thus far, with the debatable exception of Ajisai, has wanted to be the dom. And Reneko needs to be a dom. Like, the thing that really is making her uncomfortable is the pressure she's being put under to submit to Mai and to Satsuki. And there's a scene in this where she kind of doms Kaho a bit, and it, like, is clearly way more her vibe. Ridiculous as all that sounds, and the peak of the ridiculousness, the climax of this 5-episode series, is that all of them end up at this big convention, and Mai is a special guest and is up on stage at the closing ceremony or whatever, like, talking about stuff, and Reniko and Ajisai get up on stage with her, and between the three of them, apparently with the entire audience still watching, they kind of arrive at polyamory.
That's a word. Like,
it ends up with Reniko refusing to choose between the two of them and saying she's going to date them both.
Yep, and groveling and sobbing. Please, 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 please.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh, God.
Which, you know, I've posted about this before. When we ended up dating, the night after that kind of, like, started crystallizing, I had a stress stream about having to have that talk with you on stream in front of an inexplicably large audience.
And this was before you'd even read the books.
Yeah. No, it was because there was a fucking visual novel where one of the routes was, like, one of the heroines was in a band, and you ask her out while she's on stage, and she fucking goes, fuck no, not, what are you doing in front of all these people?
Oh.
So that hit real weird in my brain. And then it was just like, oh, Taran Mikami has synthesized my nightmare idea.
I mean, we did then stream the next day.
Yes,
together.
I know. That's why I was stressed out.
Yeah, wild times. Anyway, that's how wild this is.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a comedy, and it is goofy and slapstick and all over the place. And also, way more strongly, to me at least, in these 5 episodes over the series, it brought out Reniko's deep, profound self-loathing, her utter inability to love herself. And I was sat there watching it thinking, wait, is this what it's like to be Val? And this is something that we have struggled with as a couple. And, like, there have been many times where I have made you super uncomfortable to one degree or another by not being able to understand some of the ways that you feel similarly to Reniko.
Yeah.
And, like, it will not surprise regular listeners to learn that I am an attention-seeking hoebag who very much does not have these problems.
Yeah.
Like, if what happens to Reniko happened to me, I would be like, yes, this is my due as the protagonist of reality.
Yeah, I know, Miss asked me to propose to you in the middle of the sales floor at the con we went to. Bitch.
Sorry. I thought I was being funny. But yeah, like, I mean, do you want to...
I don't know how much I can really, like... Because like I said to you, it's hard to, like, vocalize or put into words how weird it is to process that the lens that you see yourself through is so warped. But it's also not easy to fix that.
Yes.
So it's kind of just, like, trying to explain it to people doesn't help.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, like, because it's how you see the world and the largest part of how you interact with the world, it sucks.
Yeah.
It influences everything.
Yeah.
Mental health is a motherfucker. And
yeah.
The mental is how you do everything. So...
Mental health is all in your head. Yes, and that's the problem. Especially the problem where it's in your head and not in mine.
I wouldn't want to have this shit in your head.
No, absolutely not. I also don't want it in your head, but... As I wrote in a love song that I wrote to you months before we were dating, you can't fight other people's demons, and that's kind of what I meant by that. Unless you have Kaho's power of ASMR hypnosis, she kind of fights Reniko's demons for a bit.
Yeah, except, like, it doesn't work. It's a very thin
veneer. It doesn't
veneer.
work in a lasting way. But yeah, like, maybe it sucks that I couldn't understand this from, like, listening to you, and it had to be the silly Yuri anime that taught me this lesson, but I hope I've learned it now. I'm sorry. And it's not just Reniko either, it's Kaho too. They have the same underlying sense that anything attractive about them is fake. And, God, it's rough. I love you. I wish that I could make you love yourself the way I love you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it ended up being not just a lot in the conventional way that rom-com anime are a lot, but also a lot in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
Good show. Like, there are some brutal scenes in this.
Yep.
In terms of addressing that drama. The writing's really up there.
And, like, in the light novel, it's a little more, like, built up, too, because unlike the anime, it takes a little more time to, like, deal with Raniko's internal monologue more frequently.
Yeah.
And also, it's, like, kind of key to a lot of the stuff that ends up going on in, quote-unquote, Season 2, which is the next 3 or 4 volumes of the light novels.
Do we know that we're getting Season 2?
I said, quote-unquote, Season 2 because that's what it's called in the light novels. Like, it's the second arc.
Right, okay.
We don't know goddamn anything about whether we're getting a Season 2 or not.
God, I hope so.
God, I hope not. It would stress me out.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway.
Speaking of shows that stress me out.
This one stresses us both out. This one came for me this week. This is Journal of the Witch, episodes 6 and 7. I was looking at the notes for this, and there's so much. I really don't know how to handle it all. We get a lot of stuff in both of the episodes that we're covering, 6 and 7 today, suggesting that Makio is dealing with pretty severe undiagnosed ADHD.
Including a line from Emery going, hey, do you think she could be like neurodivergent? Which is pretty on the nose.
I mean, pretty obviously yes, right?
Yeah.
There's also, later in that same episode, Kasamachi talks about being depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in that scene it shows that the writers understand how bad Japanese culture is about that kind of mental health stuff.
Yeah.
Because Kasamachi is talking about how he couldn't admit to being depressed while he was still working at his job and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's a lot of stuff in these 2 episodes of Emery and Asa interrogating Makio about her love life, one way or another.
And then Asa also interrogating Emery's interests in love life.
Yes. And, like, Makio is on the back foot a lot in this, but she's clearly got a read on Emery that I think is really interesting, because at one point, when Emery is being pressed a bit about her, like, love life or inclinations, Makio lends her a DVD of a movie called Fried Green Tomatoes.
Which is a movie I have heard of, you had not.
I had not heard of it, no. And the plot summary on Wikipedia is wild. Like, a lot happens in this movie. But it's basically like small-town American drama. There's a frame narrative, but also a main story. And within the main story, the protagonist is a tomboy who is maybe also a lesbian. It's not 100% clear.
Mm-hmm.
But people talk about, you know, this piece of art hit me in my teens at just the right moment and, like, fucking nuked me, right? And this feels like Makio doing that deliberately and knowing that she's doing that deliberately. Like, it's a very subtly powerful move, and it clearly does hit Emery like a ton of bricks. And later we get Asa, as you said, needling Emery about a boy asked her out, and Asa's heard about this, and she's heard that Emery turned the boy down, and she's asking, you know, does Emery want a boyfriend? And Emery pretty clearly doesn't want a boyfriend. And Asa, half-jokingly, asks her if she'd be okay with a girlfriend instead. And there's just a shot of Emery looking like someone threw a bucket of cold water in her face.
Yep.
So I can't wait to see the fruition of that.
Yeah. And then she just like, stop being nosy. I fucking said I'm not interested.
Yes.
Which feels a little telling. We'll find out what's up with that soon.
Yes. Also, like, in the background of all this, Asa is in a band.
Yep.
And we've not seen this band at all. We've not seen her practicing. We've not seen anything.
Also,
like,
it's been months. It's been months because they skip forward.
Yeah.
We're skipping ahead to when more time has passed and there's more stuff to focus on, I guess.
Yeah, it's using time really interestingly, I think. On the Makio side of the romance stuff, she's sort of half persuaded to reach out to Kasamachi, her ex. And she's spent a bunch of time composing a text message to him saying, do you want to get dinner sometime, basically. And she's hovering over sending it when she gets a phone call. And then when the phone call ends, as she's pressing to hang up, she accidentally sends the message. And then they go out for dinner, and she sat opposite him, and she's like, wait, he's really hot. What the hell?
This is queer baiting. Makio is so lesbian coded, and it's crazy that she is probably just straight.
Yeah. Anyway, like, they've been drinking, and they're flirting a bit, and they go for a walk to clear their heads, and they end up sitting in the park, and they end up making out, which is really good. And then in the next episode, Kasamachi goes for lunch with Daigo, Makio's bestie, and she kind of gets the inkling that something's up and is grilling him about it.
Mm-hmm.
Although that is also what leads into some of the discussion around Kasamachi's mental health.
Yeah.
While that is happening, Makio and Asa go for lunch with Emery and Emery's mom, whose name is Michiko. All the adult women in this show so far have names starting with M. Makio, Michiko, and Minori. And I don't know whether that's like a deliberate motif or just a weird coinkydink.
Yeah, no.
But like, I can't stop thinking about it. And like, Emery's family and Asa's family were close. And there's this incredible moment where Makio asks Michiko, Emery's mum, what Minori was like. And it's just such a powerful way of establishing that neither Makio nor Asa really seems to have known who Minori was as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, like, this show is so potent about the dysfunction in this family. And all of this kind of builds towards flashbacks that are from Minori's perspective, which is a wild move to pull. Like, we've had the show kind of being haunted by Minori, like Makio in particular kind of sees Minori sometimes as if she's being haunted. But this is fully a dead woman having flashbacks that are on screen in the show. And one of them, you know, we've seen lots of Makio's flashbacks of Minori telling her, like, you need to grow up and stop reading manga and you suck and I'm ashamed of you and that sort of thing. In this, we get a Minori perspective of Makio calling her out for not actually being emotionally invested in her own life. Like, Makio calls her empty.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other critical thing, we've been kind of needling at this issue with Asa's dad. It turns out that Asa's parents weren't actually married. When Minori got pregnant, Asa's dad said he did want to care for the child, but he didn't want to marry her.
Yeah.
We get to see the dad for the first time in this episode, very briefly, in one of these flashbacks. But the picture that emerges of Minori in these two episodes particularly is her, like, really intense fear-driven conformism. She cannot stand the thought of being different in exactly the way that Makio cannot help but be different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what Minori wants is to be normal. And so this not being married, it isn't spelled out at all, but it must have absolutely eaten her alive.
Yeah. I mean, she hides it from her entire friend group.
She hides it from her friend group. It's implied that she hides it from Asa.
Yeah.
And the final salvo of this pair of episodes, Makio has found a journal that Minori was keeping when she was pregnant with Asa, with the thought that she would give it to Asa when Asa turned 20. And Asa overhears Makio asking Kasamachi what he thinks she should do with the journal, and later sneaks into Makio's room and finds the journal and reads it. And the first entry ends with Minori writing something like, "I love you so much." And Asa's reaction is, how can you know that? And I felt like I'd been stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what that feels like, and I felt like I'd been stabbed. Like, that combined with Makio calling Minori empty feels so much like how I feel about the other women in my family.
Mm.
And we're still not done with the emotionally grueling stuff, because there's also Gnosia, episodes 17 and 18. And for this one, we actually need to put a content warning on, because Gnosia episode 17 features a lot of suicide attempts.
Yep.
And the attendant existential crisis. Because Yuri is trying to deal with the fact of having discovered that they are not the real Yuri, and that as long as they keep popping into existence, the world will keep ending. And this makes Yuri feel that they don't have a right to exist, like Bug Yuri, protagonist of the anime Yuri.
Mm-hmm.
And they try an increasingly desperate sequence of suicide attempts to escape existing, and every time they loop. And it takes SQ, who is also, in a sense, a bug, like a failed duplicate, confronting Yuri about this and saying, look, anything that you are currently thinking about yourself must also apply mutatis mutandis to me, and I think that I deserve to live. And I do want to take a moment to stress that everybody deserves to live. The question of deserving should not occur for living at all. Like, this is a thing that anime bring up and sci-fi stories bring up a bunch about, like, discovering that you're a fake or a copy. And I kind of get where the neurosis comes from at the cultural level. You know, we have this fairly strong prevailing cultural thing about, like, finding your true self and not being fake, being authentic, and so on. And I am here to tell you all of that is bullshit. My considered opinion as a philosopher who has thought a lot about identity and what it is to be a self, the self is the thing you are. There's not some deeper secret you have to discover. And the thing that you are gets to exist. If it exists, it gets to exist, irrespective of all other concerns, except maybe if you're a Nazi actively engaged in violence. So in episode 16, when Yuriko was, like, doling out the big reveals, there was a bunch of stuff about Gnos, the god AI, like, having created Yuri in an attempt to, like, evaluate human individuality. And I think the show could have done something really, really powerful with that and this stuff about, like, Yuri deserving to exist. And it doesn't. Or it hasn't yet, at least. Yeah, maybe they'll pick up that thread. But instead, what we get in episode 18 is, like, time travel shenanigans, basically. We find out that Yuri is the one who gives Setsu a silver key, and then Setsu has to go, like, world hopping and looping and so on to find an opportunity to give Yuri the silver key, so that they can both be looping.
And then we had a very, a girl who chants Love at the Bounds of This World as explanation of timelines, because you cannot escape the legacy of that game, even if it's extremely mid.
Yeah. Well, you know, influence is influence. But this kind of ends on Yuri in a happy ending scenario. Except that Setsu's vanished to do the looping stuff. Everyone else is having a happy ending, and we get a credit sequence that has, like, a still of each character with a brief text explainer of what they did after the story. Which is a wild move, given that there's still, what, 3 episodes
left? Yeah, no, it's an extremely funny fake out.
And I don't really retain much from it, but I do remember that Jonas dies alone.
Yeah.
Which, good, fuck that guy.
Remnan and Rekio do, like, a revolution.
Oh, that's right. It's not even clear what they're, like, revolting against. They're just like, there's a revolution now, and they're fighting in it.
Yeah, I mean, there is details in it, but I don't remember either.
Yeah. So yeah, like, it's been a heavy week. Fortnight for anime. Sorry that it's been a fortnight. I got ill and fell behind on a bunch of stuff because,
yeah.
Caught back up to myself now, I hope.
And I will keep the pressure on her to not fucking overwork herself again. I know, but also, I will keep an eye on you.
The problem with taking pay rises is that sometimes people expect you to do more work for them. And that really bit me at the start of this year. Anyway, in the clear Moonlit Dusk, episodes 5 and 6. So, Kohaku invites Yoi to go to the festival with him, and I don't think their, like, trial dating period is going to end simultaneous with the festival, but it's around the same time, right?
Yeah, something like that.
This, normally when there's a festival arc, the girl has to wear yukata. In this, because Yoi is a prince, and because she's already, like, bottled one opportunity to wear casual clothes around him, will she wear a yukata becomes a fairly substantial question. And I'm interested to see how that plays out and what she decides, and also, please show me this girl in a yukata because I'll die.
Yeah. I think she'll show up in a yukata because they could not pass that up.
Yeah.
We've seen that with Mikadona sisters.
Yes.
But also, like I said in Discord, the only thing that's more effective at raising the tension for you than a butch is the lack of a butch.
The impendingness of a butch.
The conspicuously absent butch.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it was in our last episode that I commented that this isn't really a rom-com, it's a romantic drama that just is funny because sometimes being a teen is funny.
Yep.
And I think that really gets at the strength of this show because it is a drama, and that means that it is interested in its characters in a different way to normal. They're not doing the normal rom-com plot beats. So the setup for these two episodes is there's this new boy working at Yoi's family's restaurant who is interested in Yoi, and Kohaku is getting jealous of that. And that is a trope, right? We're going to talk about plenty of shows that do that to one degree or another. What's interesting here is that Kohaku still isn't willing to articulate his feelings and isn't willing to commit to his feelings. And so, even though he does eventually admit to being jealous and like feeling possessive over Yoi when he sees her interacting with OG, it's not enough to scratch her itch to have him express feelings for her. And like he keeps calling her beautiful and so on. Like he keeps telling on himself without ever being willing to own it. And so the emotional drama just gets much more intricate because it's not, comedy is a vent for some of that tension, usually. And in this, where there's funny stuff, it's not serving as a vent.
Yeah. Like, it's the same thing where, like, a lot of people, if they get frightened, they'll start laughing.
Yes.
Once they realize it's not an issue because that's a way for your, like, brain to release the tension. Yeah. My brain wants to say something that is probably unfair and a little mean about how you acted when we first started dating and Kohaku right now.
Well, I mean, we've made that comment before, right? Like that Kohaku's unwillingness to like commit and he wants to coast, right? He's coasted all his life because he's a rich boy and he's popular and pretty, and he wants to keep coasting. And Yoi is increasingly and justifiably mad about this. And I don't think I was guilty of quite the same degree of coasting, but I was definitely guilty of some degree of coasting when we first got together and like not wanting to pin down the specifics. And again, that goes back to like the Reneko stuff of, and I understand this now, you need to hear it.
Yep.
And now I will say it again and again and again until you believe it.
You got a long project ahead of you.
I know, but like we're spending the rest of our lives together. That's a long time. I hope it's long enough.
We'll have to see.
Yes. Anyway, in other stories of a boy getting toxic and possessive.
That's so true.
I mean, Isekai Office Worker, episodes 5 and 6, Arash basically is behaving like Kohaku in Clear Moonlit Dusk, episodes 5 and 6.
Yep. Except they're already fucking, so it's just like...
They are already fucking, and we were speculating on whether there was going to be, like, competition for Kondo, and it hasn't played that out at all yet. But Arash really is, like, trying to control Kondo. Like, they're setting off on this mission, and Kondo has been assigned to go along, and Arash is going along, and Kondo was going to ride in, like, one of the carriages that's part of this train, but Arash forces him to ride with him on his horse. And between that and the buggery, Kondo's ass must be so sore.
He really needs that pillow.
He does really need that pillow. And, like, Kondo is starting to get uncomfortable. Not, I think, with Arash's attention, but with Arash's unwillingness to, like, express any affection in it. Arash's determination to frame it as, like...
just business, just treatment.
Yeah, like, Arash keeps saying, well, this is the most efficient way to ensure your health, is for me to keep, like, fucking you. And eventually, Arash does outright say that he is taking advantage of the fact that his physical intimacy with Kondo is the quote-unquote most efficient way to ensure his health. And then Ist, the, like, magician puppy boy guy that has been involved in various of Kondo's schemes, bursts in on them while they're in bed and realizes what they're up to and asks if he can stay to watch.
Yeah.
He's curious about the magical element of this. It's clearly what the idea is supposed to be, but it's also like, here's a twink showing up to watch the boy smut. The other thing that happens here, and this is more on the isekai side of things, is that we get the reveal of Kondo's big plan that he's been working on and has proposed to the Prime Minister kind of secretly. and Arash is constantly getting mad at him about like being secretive about and working obsessively on. And what he's doing, what he's trying to do, is make the summoning ritual that this country does obsolete. He doesn't want them abducting any more young women from his world to be their heroine.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that this was a thing that was bothering him before. I think this pays it off really well. And like Yua, the girl that they actually summoned, that he accidentally came along with, is initially hostile to the idea until she realizes that they have no plan to send her home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the expectation of all the characters who are from this world is she's going to live with them for the rest of her life. And a bunch of them get real mad that Kondo wants to put an end to this grand old tradition, even after he proves that it's more efficient to do it his way, which is all about, like, basically using magic to suppress the spread of blight.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that as a take on Isekai. I don't know how common it is to have an Isekai where one of the Isekais is like, I am going to stop you fuckers abducting people from my world because it's not right.
It's not terribly common, but I'm pretty sure it's been done in smaller pockets before.
It felt really powerful to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like it when a show can really interrogate that stuff. And maybe it's partly because this show is not interrogating some other stuff that's going on, like Arash's possessiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, palate cleanser.
Yep.
Let's talk about You and I Are Polar Opposites, episodes 5 and 6.
It's so fucking good still.
It's so fucking good. It's so much the opposite of Bleak. We get a 2-episode tour de force in the value, character, and nobility of himbos, because these episodes are the establishing of Yamada's relationship. We're introduced to this girl, Nishi, who we first met in the library where she is a library assistant alongside Tani, and she's a wallflower. She has a problem that I really struggle with, which is partly an auditory processing issue. She cannot tune out conversations that are happening near her. So she's constantly trying not to laugh at jokes that she's not supposed to be party to.
Mm-hmm.
And she feels really bad about this. And Yamada, who is a class clown type, is really activated when people that he's not expecting to hear laughing laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And he keeps catching Nishi laughing at things he says. And this really draws him in a really adorable way.
It's also really good because, like, the Yeti from the movie that Tani and Suzuki went to watch,
Yes.
It narrates the explanation of this.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
Yeah, the Yeti. So here's the thing. I am pretty sure that it's not just that it's the Yeti. I think it is supposed to be Suzuki doing a Yeti voice.
I think they're probably, like, the same voice actress, sure, but I think it is supposed to be the Yeti because it's adorable.
I mean, it would be adorable for Suzuki to be doing that, though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think it's more information than she has about Yamada being a dumbass.
Certainly in the present moment. But, like, Yamada notices Nishi in that scene in the library where they're, like, pestering Tani at the desk and, like, goofing around, and Nishi keeps giggling at it. And then Yamada knows Nishi's bestie, whose name is Honda, and goes round to to her classroom to borrow a book or return a book, and meets Nishi there. And so Honda, who is a fairly savvy, level-headed girl, more or less immediately twigs what's going on and is rooting for them both so hard and trying so hard not to, like, laugh at them at all or anything. It's great. But Yamada works really, really hard at kind of trying to communicate with Nishi, who is super awkward, super shy, really doesn't feel like she can communicate at all. And he doesn't get frustrated. He doesn't ever demonstrate any animus towards it. There's a sense of, like, infinite kindness about how he goes about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes back one day, he's hanging out with Suzuki and gang in their classroom, and he just out and out says, there's this girl that I think I like and I want to get her number. Any ideas? Like, he's honest, right? He's actually, and you know, this whole series starts in part with the moment where he realizes that he's inadvertently teased Suzuki into a position where she's almost blown her chance with Tani. And he immediately goes, shit, sorry, I was out of line doing this. You need to go and like, chase your man.
Mm-hmm.
And for that to also bear fruit for him in his love life is so good.
Yeah.
And the others suggest various schemes about this. And there's a great moment of Tani realizing that the scheme Suzuki suggests to Yamada is also one that she tried on him. And he's thinking, wait, she's liked me for that long? And he's like playing dead on his desk because he's so upset about this.
Yeah.
Which is also a little bit like you.
Listen, you didn't realize you liked me until fucking the week before we started dating.
No, but I had written you a love song. 8 months prior.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have qualified it as that at the time.
I would have ummed and ahed about it a bit, but it literally has.
I had to force
it
you to stop.
It literally says in the chorus, "I love you."
I had to get you to stop umming and ahhing after we started dating. Shut up.
You also never listened to the song until I sent it to you.
Yes, because I'm terrible about listening to things that my friends do, and we've had discussions about that too.
Yes.
Bitch. Jesus.
Anyway, what Yamada eventually decides to do is just go back round to Nishi's classroom and say, "Hey, I'd like to get to know you better. Can I have your number? Or can we exchange line info?"
Mm-hmm.
And then they're still trying to figure out how to communicate. That's not a magic bullet for it.
Yeah, it's an ongoing problem now. Mm-hmm. So we can maybe switch next episode to something else. I'm looking forward to seeing Tyra go off.
Well, I mean, we do now know how it's going to work out because episode 6 is the school festival episode.
Mm-hmm.
And Nishi turns out to be in photography club. And she's alone in the photography club room. And no one's coming in to look at the photos. And then Tani and Suzuki do. And Suzuki, being Suzuki, asks Nishi a bunch of questions about photography and gets her talking. And it turns out that Nishi just needs to be able to hyperfixate to someone. And we don't see it happen. We just see the time gap where Yamada's not around, where it must happen, which is him getting shown around the photography club room by Nishi.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait for that to bear fruit. I really hope that the next episode opens with Yamada quietly being in photography club now.
Yeah.
Maybe he can teach Suzuki how to take a selfie.
She knows how to take a selfie. She doesn't know how to fucking coordinate her face.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a bit in here about Tani and Suzuki and whether they're going to tell their families about each other.
Mm-hmm.
They end up studying together at Tani's house while his family are out, playing golf, including Grandma is also playing Grandma golf.
Specifically, the translation for the subtitles was golf and grand golf, which was really good.
It's so good. Every little detail of the show is just perfect.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're kind of wrapping up and heading out for Suzuki to go home when Grandma gets home and sees them. And she's wearing a t-shirt that just says sports on it, which is, again, I love goofy anime t-shirts like that. But Tani tells Grandma that Suzuki is his girlfriend, and then Grandma is lovely about this and gives her a bunch of vegetables. And she takes the vegetables home to her mum, and to explain where she got them from, she explains about Tani, but she begs her mum not to tell her dad and her brother, because they're clearly going to be goobers about it.
Mm-hmm.
I want more of Suzuki's brother, I think.
You would.
Problems! Give me problems!
I'm right here!
More problems! Problems for you, too!
This show is not going to give me problems.
This show is not going to give either of us problems. This show is the thing that makes us able to cope with the problems. The other thing that happens in episode 6 at the school festival is that a friend of Suzuki and Yamada's from middle school comes to see them at the festival. His name is Rihito, or Rihi, and he is technically Suzuki's first boyfriend. And it's kind of tragic, actually.
Mm-hmm.
He and Suzuki were really good friends, and they had a great dynamic. And everyone in class was doing that thing of, oh, a boy and a girl are friends, they should date. And Rihito, tries to make a joke of asking Suzuki out, and it doesn't get taken as a joke. And they try going out very briefly, and it feels bad, and they don't want to do it. And it kind of wrecks their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Each of them thinks that they part friends, but also they clearly have barely communicated since, and Suzuki's kind of been avoiding him.
Yeah.
It is a genuinely painful moment, but also he's really handsome. He's a looker.
Yep.
And kind of extroverted and cool. And this makes Tani feel very uncomfortable. It's not really jealousy, it's kind of overshadowed, threatened.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a great scene at the end of the episode where Suzuki finds him and tells him she loves him. And, like, again, it's about pressing on the communication thing. And, you know, the characters in this don't always communicate perfectly. And there are rom-com misunderstanding moments. But this show and a few other kind of similar things in other shows that we've been watching lately, I think this summer I'm going to try to sit down with a list of all the rom-coms we've watched and try to actually quantify whether boys being able to communicate with girls is a coming trend in rom-coms. Because it really feels like just this last couple of seasons, there's been a significant uptick in, you know, boys who are functional. You know, Yano in Yano-kun is another example where he just, like, eventually came out and said it. And for all Kohaku's problems in Clear Moonlit Dusk, he does very clearly say to Yoi the thing that he does understand about his feelings, which is that he likes looking at her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering if there's some sort of shift going on there. I kind of hope there is, because I think it would be really good to have a bunch of, like, romance stories that are leading by example rather than trying to exemplify the problem of being a teenager in love. Like, I wish shows like this had existed when I was a teenager having hopeless crushes, because it didn't help that every show I watched that seemed to represent similar kind of relationship dynamics really stressed how stressful it is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, should we do some brief mentions?
Looks at our notes for a few of these. I don't know how brief they're going to be.
They're going to be brief, I promise you. So, Roll Over and Die, episodes 5 and 6. Episode 4 kind of ended with Milkit getting attacked while Flum and Sarah were off doing stuff. Milkit is very apologetic about getting attacked, and Flum kind of crashes out about this. Like, she really can't handle all the ways in which self-loathing manifests in Milkit. And it's not openly Yuri yet, but Flum loves Milkit so much.
Mm-hmm.
The Heroes Party is still disintegrating because Flum's not there to be the glue guy. And the shitty mage, is it Sylvester? I think his name's Sylvester.
No, I think it's Jean or Jean.
You're right, it is Jean. He looks like a Sylvester.
I feel like that's an insult to people named Sylvester.
Maybe. Like, that guy's an insult to a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still a shit, and the Heroes Party are, like, fully... Like, their party cohesion is so bad that it's making it impossible for them to do hero stuff. We get a bit more on, like, who the demons are and what they're like. Apparently, they are, quote-unquote, just a group of childhood friends. So there's some backstory there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Flum and Sarah successfully bring back the herbs that this guy needed to treat his wife. He asks Flum what she wants as a reward, and she says, well, she needs a base of operations, and he gives her a mansion. And they go to the mansion, and they realise that it doesn't feel anything like as abandoned as it should have felt, or anything like as neglected as it should have felt. And it's because randomly a witch is living there, and it's Eterna from the Heroes Party, so she knows Flum. When Flum explains what happened, she doesn't doubt Flum at all.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, now the three of them are living together, and Sarah keeps coming around to visit, and the emergent polycule vibes are so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, extremely here for it. There was a cute girl in the Heroes Party, so I tried investing to her, episodes 5 and 6. Cecilia and Yoki go to save a village from a demon attack? Or just a disease? I forget. No, bandits.
It was bandits.
We get introduced to a gargoyle that has taken up residence as a local guardian deity after the death of the Demon King. And a girl who has fixated on him as, like, the village's protector. And they end up bringing the gargoyle back to town with them and recruiting the girl as a maid at Cecilia's mansion because, like, maid collection is a part of this story for some reason. But also, while they're at this village, they encounter another hero from a different kingdom. So we know Yuga, who's the hero from this kingdom. This other kingdom has a hero who is just loves killing and wants to start a war because now the Demon King is dead. There's no one for him to kill. And he's got a magic sword that eats magic. Except that Yoki's got so much magic that he just overwhelms it and it breaks.
Yep.
Which is quite good. And then Yoki is summoned to the court so that the king can ask what he wants as a reward for, like, saving this town and stuff. And Yoki, his tuny switch flips and he declares to the entire court that the only thing he wants is Cecilia's love. Which gets him in all sorts of trouble, as it should. But, like, the thing that's nice running through these episodes is that it's clear that Cecilia and Yoki are becoming very close and developing a really strong understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're building a healthy relationship together. It's just neat. It's a very kind, comfy show to watch. Also, kind and comfy to watch is The Villainess is Adored by the Prince of the Neighbouring Kingdom. In episodes 5 and 6, we arrive in Aqua, Prince Seahorse's home country, Marin Forest. Tiara, the main character, the villainess, is expected to do a year of bridal training before marriage. Aqua really doesn't want to wait that long. I don't think Tiara wants to wait that long, given the fact that there's a brief scene in episode 6 where her tutor is on screen, and it's the end of the lesson, and Aqua comes to pick her up, and the tutor's like, yeah, she went through 6 months of the curriculum in a month.
Really just want us to get through this nonsense.
Yeah. Anyway, most of the drama here comes from Marin Forest being a kingdom that has a bunch of fairies. There are forest fairies, and there are sea fairies, and there are sky fairies, I think, the other one. And it's a very kind of sea-themed kingdom. It's very dependent on the sea. The sea fairies don't like Tiara, but the forest fairies, who normally don't like humans, do like her. And the character who is the main character of the second game, and is thus Tiara's rival, shows up almost immediately, and she has a connection to the sea fairies.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, she works quite closely with Aqua. Like, he's the prince, and she's his emissary to the sea fairies. And also, Aqua has asked her to make a hairpiece for Tiara, I think, as a wedding gift, but has not told Tiara that. So Tiara keeps seeing them working very closely together, and she's worrying about, is Isilla going to take Aqua from her? And, is she destined to lose here as well because she's the villainess and stuff?
And that'd be a hell of a series if that happened again with a different protagonist.
Yeah. This show still has the problem you identified where, Tiara basically doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about things happening to her, including the king of the forest fairies, who is named Keith. King Keith, although he insists on her not calling him king. It has to be just Keith. And he's taken a liking to Tiara and keeps antagonizing Aqua, and where we're up to, has kidnapped Tiara and put her to magic sleep in the forest.
Great.
Yeah. And apparently the path to the forest fairy domain starts in Aqua's castle, in the queen's bedroom, which is why Keith has had such an easy time getting to Tiara. It's... where the fuck is this show going? I understood it when it was Isekai PvP. I have no idea. There's not yet been any indication that Isilla is an Isekai or is any kind of threat to Tiara.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's...
Maybe it's just a mess. I don't know.
Entirely possible.
A show that is definitely a mess, but in a much more intentional way, is Tune Into the Midnight Heart. Episodes 5 and 6 are around Sports Day. The Broadcasting Club has this scheme to do an anonymous confession service over the lunch break of Sports Day, where people can come and they can whisper a confession, which will then be read out over the tannoy. And there's a whole bunch of shenanigans they have to pull to prevent the really hard-ass conservative gym teacher stopping them. They have to run all sorts of interference on him. The scheme is a success. It seems to be great fun for everyone. It ends with Apollo confessing to Yamabuki over the tannoy.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the day, Buki actually gets to talk to Apollo through a door, basically. I'm simplifying a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And she offers to reveal herself to him, and he refuses, because then the show would be over. And maybe I'm just not familiar enough with this genre, and this happens a lot, but this show has such a clear setup of there's one particular girl who is the girl that Buki cares about. But everything else about this show is set up as a harem.
Mm-hmm.
And something about how this show does that focus on the question of who is Apollo feels like it is gritting the gears of the harem comedy. I don't know,
Well, that's the thing. Some harems have, a central, heroine that they clearly want to focus on, but they still have interactions with the other characters. The thing that comes to mind is actually a show called Naki Imo. My little sister is among them.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Basically,
terrifying.
The premise of that one is basically the main character's dad just passed away, and he has to become the head of the group that his father owned.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to do so, he has to be married. Because there's a stipulation about passing on the torch. He needs to find a girl he loves at his new school and marry her by the time he graduates, which is insane.
So we're watching that, right?
Let me finish.
Sorry, it had to be done. That's such an us pitch.
I know. Let me finish. He transfers to a new school in order to find,
love.
But at the funeral, he is greeted by someone outside a window who reveals that she's his little sister and she's going to be going to that school as well.
Right, I think you have told me about this before.
Yes. Quote, however, there is a complication. One of them is his long-lost half-sister, and he has no idea which one, so how can he become romantically involved with any of them?
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's not a smart show. It is a funny show at times, but it's not smart. But it does kind of bring that to mind. We're like, actually, no, fuck it. The other one is Nisekoi, where the premise is the main character had like a locket that he gave a key to his like crush when he was little, and he still has a hold of the locket, and he's looking for the girl who has it. He doesn't end up with the girl who had the key.
Didn't you hate that show?
I fucking hated that show. The first season, I wasn't fond of it because I already read all of the stuff from it. So it was all rewatching stuff that I'd already seen. The second season, which I was forced to watch in order to earn a Wii and 3DS because I was friends with some dumb motherfuckers in 2015, was better because it was new content and also the girls were better and it wasn't all Chitose all the time. Chitoge?
Right, Chitoge in that one. Chitose's in the Ramyun bottle.
Right. Also, that show is made by Shaft, and I was really worn out on Shaft by that point.
Fair enough.
Trans sentences also. Anyway.
Jesus Christ, mate. Oh, I wasn't ready for that one.
I know you weren't. That's why I landed it.
God damn it. Anyway, speaking of things people aren't ready for, the second episode of this is the after party that...
It's so good!
So, their broadcasting club is supervised by this teacher called Lemon, who is kind of surly. But she wants to throw an after party for them because they had a successful time at the sports day. But she invites them all to her house for it because she wants to be able to drink at the party. And she tells them to dress casual, but actually they all dress super glam for Buki.
Yep.
And 3 of them deny it, and only the singer is willing to admit that she dressed up in the hope that Buki would call her cute.
Yep.
I love it when, like, only one of the girls is willing to be honest, and it makes all the others super, like, on edge. But Buki has already fallen asleep.
So he doesn't even get to see it. What a shame.
He doesn't even get to see it. So they put him to bed. And then they say, look, let's each of us go out and buy a thing that we like for the party. Like the thing that we like to eat. And they go out, and one by one they come back and see him lying in bed. And to one degree or another get lovey-dovey with him. And then the next one comes back and they hide under the bed. And they end up all 4 of them hiding under the bed.
No, only 3 of them do.
Sorry, only 3 of them end up hiding under the bed. And when he wakes up, they're all sat round the table in a state of intense tension. And it turns out that they have all bought cakes.
Entire cakes, not like little slices. Whole cakes.
And Buki eats all 4 of them. And then Lemon has also brought a cake. And they play Jenga for that, but Buki's so overloaded that he falls asleep again. And while he's asleep, they set up like a horrible statue of Jenga blocks.
Yep.
And he knocks it over, trying to pull out a block from it. And he has to fucking eat Lemon's cake as well. Oh, it's absurd.
5 cakes.
5 cakes. The rule of 5 cakes. Okay, that one wasn't a brief mention, I'll give you that. This one will be. The Invisible Man and his soon-to-be wife, episodes 5 to 6. This continues to be the cutest show. Their relationship seems to be broadly going great. It's mostly about the side characters having hijinks. We get a bunch of stuff with Karma the Dark Elf, because he is the most wife guy to have ever wifed. And every time he is in any way separated from his wife, like, Dark Elf curse powers start to activate. In one episode, he uses them to help Tonome with a case. And also, like, in the second of these episodes, his wife is hiding a pregnancy from him.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole, like, complex thing around, like, elf magic and how it responds to good moods and bad moods and, like, how rare elf pregnancies are and shit. It's a bad scene. They reconcile. It's fine. And there's an arc also about Jirashi, who is very much like Butch, right? Hot Butch, Bobcat lady. We've been over that. She really likes getting Shizuka to dress up because Shizuka's very feminine, very cute, and she can do stuff with cutesy outfits. Jirashi feels that she can't dress cute. She doesn't know how to, and cute clothes don't suit her because her fur has bobcat pattern, and like lots of things don't go with patterns. But she's at a clothes shop and she meets this cool lizard guy, and his skin is patterned, and he's very, very stylishly dressed with patterns that accentuate his skin's pattern, and he like helps her pick some outfits. He rules. I love that character. He's opening a shop of his own, specializing in clothes for people who have the same problem. It's just a cool arc about a Butch getting the chance to be a bit femme for once.
Yep.
There's Reborn as Dragon Hatchling, episodes 5 to 6, which, like, he doesn't actually get married, but also he does kind of find a girlfriend lizard. Like, the tiny lizard does kind of make a good wife.
Size difference tag.
Extreme size different tag. He realizes neither of them have names and then doesn't do anything about it, which is great. So we still don't have a name for either of these characters. He finally unlocks the human transformation skill, but it's not like full human transformation. He like becomes a dragonkin kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of like a lizard guy. But I think it like everything else, it's a matter of like using it enough to level it up, because I've seen art from further in the series.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense. It's just fun. For the moment, it's mostly just a debuff, like it halves all his stats. The heroes that have been on their way show up.
The adventurers.
Adventurers. They are seriously scared of both him and Tiny Lizard Wife, who are both pretty powerful monsters at this point already. So the heroes go off to get reinforcements, which bodes extremely ill. And then the final part of episode 6, he gets into a fight with the boss of the monkeys who keep raiding the meat that he's hanging out to jerk. And it's just a really, really good anime fight sequence. Then there is 2 episodes of Misanthrope Creatures Class for Demihumans. Over to you.
Yeah. So the first one is mostly about Tobari, which is the bird girl, and what she's going through. It's mostly framed in like main character accidentally ruining his coworker's handkerchief, and she reveals that she was watching the entire time and just goes and rats him out immediately. Because she knows it'll be fine as long as he apologizes, and he does, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And he feels kind of down about some stuff, and she takes him up to the roof and shows him the sunset and gets docked a bunch of points in return because non-human behavior in front of a teacher, and also breaking onto the roof.
Yeah.
And then the second episode, episode 6, was basically all of the girls are assigned a final assignment at the end of the year, and it's to help them gain points and to help determine whether any of them are qualified to graduate. Usami is tasked with getting a signature from all of the staff and students at the school, which you think would be really easy, except that includes the beginner class full of kids who are barely humanly transformation ready and don't know how to write yet. And their paw prints don't count as signatures.
Aww.
So she spends a month or so teaching them how to like write and read, because that's the sort of stuff that like you need to do when you're in the beginner class. And eventually she gets her signatures done. Tobari gets assigned, she gets to make a new school anthem, and she has a blast doing that. She's the first one done because she wants to do music stuff.
Yeah.
And then Ogami Isaki has to write a novella of 20,000 characters minimum, with like 5 characters in it. And she struggles at first, and then she really kicks it into overgear when she finally hits her stride and ends up writing a 38,000 character novel.
Relatable.
Yep. Plural Wolf Girl update also. They're planning on becoming 2 humans, which was a wild way to start that episode.
Yes.
But apparently that was an option offered to her at the start of everything.
I guess so.
So she's gonna take that. But the last one, Kyoka, the mermaid, she's tasked with doing a treasure hunt to find one of the treasures of the principal, or the headmaster. And she gets into an argument eventually with Usami about whether she needs help or not. And she's trying to do this all herself, but it's like 3 or 4 days until the deadline. And the full moon hits, and Gal Ogami comes out, and they have like a takoyaki party to try and like finagle some information about what she's stuck on out of her.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually Usami and Kyoka make up, and they all work together to help her go through the rest of the treasure hunt. And finally, when they find the treasure, the headmaster shows up and goes, "Congratulations, you both completed your final assignments." And it's revealed that the entire thing was just an attempt to get Kyoka to fucking rely on someone else, because she's been so stubborn the entire time. She hasn't asked for help at all.
Right.
And this was her final test. And with that, she is allowed to graduate. And that revelation was at the end of episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to seeing what goes on in the rest of the season now.
Well, you're getting the Dragon Girl soon, presumably.
God, I hope so. And the Oni.
Shows that we are not going to talk about in any substance this week, but we are still watching Holy Grail of Eris.
Yeah.
That still, when I see Eris, my brain goes Grimoire. But it's Holy Grail of Eris. Shiba Yugi playing death games to put food on the table. Hanakimi with you in full bloom. And does it count if you lose your virginity to an android? Still watching all of those. We'll report back when like arcs have finished and stuff. In all the stuff that we've watched, we started watching Copcraft.
Mm-hmm.
We watched like half of it over the last 2 weeks, which is, you know, there's a thing that Japanese media do that I really enjoy, which is just take a whole bunch of only the tropes from Western media that have gone international to some degree, even if they come from like things that we would regard as quite different subgenres of a thing, and just smoothie them all together.
Mm-hmm.
And this does that with like cop TV shows. It really is just a mishmash of tropes. You get like a whole bunch of racism stuff. You get a whole bunch of corruption stuff. You get dysfunctional relationships for the principal cast to their like wives and equivalent, but also like very strong bonds between like partners at work and stuff. Except that in this case, the strong partner bond is with an in human years 18-year-old princess from another world, and in amongst all the kind of Miami Vice tone are these like reverse isekai fish out of water moments.
Mm-hmm.
She really doesn't like driving and cars.
Yep.
And the first time that she's in the main character Kei's car, like he's driving on the highway and she pulls the handbrake to see what happens, which don't do that.
Yup.
She also, like, at one point a bit later on, she goes to move his car and forgets to put the handbrake on, and it gets wrecked. He gets a replacement car that... His first car is a fucking Mini Cooper, which is already a funny thing for a cop to be driving. And then it gets replaced with a giant Dodge Viper, and then that gets wrecked as well.
Yep.
She doesn't know what an X is, and she's never seen porn. And one of the plots is about trading like human porn to the other world, because the other world doesn't have a lot of porn. So there's a bunch of goofy stuff around that. And the human main character's full name is Kei Matuba. And there's a joke in this about how in Tilana's language, that means fearful kitten. No, he's a big, tough cop guy, and he's trying to be the big, tough cop guy. And she's like, yeah, your name means fearful kitten. The fairy world is called Semania. Semania. And I swear to God, I thought for the longest time they were just saying Somalia. Which, let me tell you, that added an edge to the racism stuff.
Yeah. Oh.
Also, the first plot is about some guys who are making bombs from trapped fairies to sell to terrorists to, like, get masses of people addicted to fairy dust, which is literally just powdered fairy. It's sort of super fucking bleak.
Yep.
And in amongst that is the reverse isekai shenanigans. So it's a very weird experience to watch.
Mm.
It's not the goofy buddy cop comedy that I was expecting from the way you pitched it, but it's certainly interesting. Then there is Season 2, Episodes 7 to 12 of the Apothecary Diaries, in which maybe the least extra thing that happens is it's revealed that ghosts are real.
That is the least extra thing that happened in these 6 episodes.
Like, it's just a random episode where Mao Mao and one of the other ladies in waiting and Shisui end up at a ghost story circle where they almost die of carbon monoxide poisoning, and it turns out that the lady who was running the ghost story circles died recently.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, like, that's a whole thing. We get some amazing scenes of Gyokyo and Jinshi fighting over Mao Mao. And Gyokyo in particular is trying to get Jinshi to say Mao Mao's name, which he keeps refusing to do. They go off on a hunting trip. Mao Mao goes along with Gaoshen?
Yeah.
No, Mao Mao goes along with Jinshi because Gaoshen has to go along as himself rather than as Jinshi's right-hand man or something.
Yeah.
And Jinshi is living this double life where he's the brother of the emperor and also the eunuch of the rear palace. And Mao Mao doesn't know about the brother of the emperor stuff. And Jinshi has promised Gaoshen that he will come clean to Mao Mao. But also because he is on this trip in his capacity as brother of the emperor and like hiding his identity in a bunch of ways, he's a target for a bunch of assassination attempts and stuff. And also at least one attempt to get him really, really horny. Like he's served a meal and it's all aphrodisiacs.
Mm-hmm.
And Mao Mao's there as his taster and tastes the aphrodisiacs and is completely unaffected. And the aphrodisiacs are so intense, they get Gaoshen's son or nephew to like drink one cup of the sake, and he gets so horny he passes out almost instantly. Then there is the frog incident.
It still makes me laugh thinking about the fucking stupid Holotones post.
Oh.
Wrong type of frog.
Still full of blood.
Yup.
So, there's an assassination attempt on Jinshi while he's out in the forest with Mao Mao. They end up hiding in a cave, and the way out of the cave is a vertical climb. So Jinshi boosts Mao Mao onto his shoulders to try to get out, but they fall over, and Mao Mao lands on top of Jinshi, and her hand lands on his frog.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a frog and not anything else. She did not feel anything else, and she does not want to know the truth of the matter. She just squashed a frog.
Mm-hmm.
A moderately sized frog.
Yeah.
Not a small frog.
Not terribly large.
That's right, not terribly large. He gets so sour about the not terribly large frog. Anyway, they get back from that. Jinshi tries to get Mao Mao to start wearing the hairpin he gave her. We still haven't actually had an explicit textual explanation of what the hairpins mean, but he's for sure trying to get her to wear this hairpin.
Well, we know what the hairpins mean, which is basically like they have been given favor by someone. Like, this is also why it was relevant with the bit with the copper mirror. Like, this is a status symbol that indicates this person is important to whoever this pin represents.
Yes. I mean, we know the kind of outline like that. There's clearly a specific meaning if Mao Mao wears Jinshi's hairpin that just hasn't been spelled out yet.
I mean, I think it's as spelled out as it's going to be with him going, hey, can you return her to me? I lent you.
Yeah.
I would like my cat back.
He does finally say her name, eventually. There's a bunch of stuff where Mao Mao is trying to get her friend, like, Shaoran's term in the rear palace is coming to an end, and she's trying to think about, like, what job to get when she leaves. And Mao Mao and Shisui take her to the bathhouse of the rear palace, where by doing stuff like massages and, like, various body care things for the concubines, they can hear gossip and make connections and stuff. But the final twist of this section is Mao Mao realizes that Gyokyo, who is pregnant with a second child, might be facing a breech birth. And the only person that she knows who might be able to help with that is her adoptive father, who has helped with a breech birth in the rear palace before, but subsequent to that got banned from the rear palace. So they have to, like, get him cleared to come back in. And I'm sure absolutely no shenanigans are going to result from that at all.
Mm-hmm. No shenanigans in this show, ever. What's this frog doing here?
Being full of blood. Anyway, I also finally got back to watching Dougram with Tara. Episodes 13 to 15 are starting the kind of second big arc. This is a section that's like desert warfare. This show was made 2 years after the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. There are some very clear kind of connections. But most of this first part of this arc is about Kryn and the other rebels being pursued by mercenaries into the desert. And the mercenary leader is pissed at them for, like, defeating him in their first encounter. So instead of, like, finishing them off, which he could easily do, he's just, like, driving them to the edge of starvation and desperation. And it is incredibly cruel. Like, Dougram does not pull any punches about the horrors of war at all. and it also kind of doesn't exaggerate them. It's the really powerful thing. Like, everything it does that is a horror of war feels kind of exactly real, which somehow enhances the viciousness of it. So it's weird to finish by saying I'm really looking forward to more of that show, but I am really looking forward to more of that show. Anyway, So We're Watching That Right is a project of Slimebug Productions. Intro and outro music is by me, graphics are by Val. You can find us on Blue Sky at slimebug.bsky.social, YouTube at youtube.com/slimebugproductions, Patreon at patreon.com/slimebugproductions. Download all episodes from Listen at slimebug.pro and join our Discord via the link in the description. Thanks for listening, and until next time, may anime neither betray nor disappoint you.